I'm Eric Witchen, and aka Defiance Works on Twitter. I'm moderating this panel. We'll go through some backgrounds, and then we'll get into the meat of things. But we're going to be talking a lot about physical digital experiences, connectivity between the physical digital, how the production processes work, how artist collaborations work, and essentially trying to settle or debate, I guess, if you will, what the best model for physical digital connectivity is. So just again, for way of background, I'm the moderator of this panel, also do some contribution as a speaker. I am an NFT collector, a lot of NFT fashion, digital fashion, and I'm also an art collector, so contemporary art and so on and so forth. So really looking forward to hearing everybody else's backgrounds and kicking things off. So I'll kick it off to Ben, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Eric. So we are known for doing a project in the sneaker space with the hip-hop artist Lil Durk, and we are also working with a very talented designer, and we're making a physical and digital sneaker line for Lil Durk. He's one of the best-selling artists, hip-hop artists of the year, had a #1 album, the 7220 album, and our goal is to be able to enable anyone who has heard about NFTs and Web3 to port over into the space through a tangible physical product, which they're used to getting, like we're all used to buying, clothing, sneakers, etc., and to be able to bring them over and then include an NFT. So that's just some of the stuff we do, and I'm going to hand it over to George. Great.
Thanks. Thanks for passing the mic. My name is George Yang. I'm the founder of Colton Rain. Very nice to meet everyone here. We are a phygital luxury fashion brand born from Web3. The team and I come from the background of luxury fashion with fashion, entertainment, and technology, trying to merge all of our talents into one thing. We launched with a Genesis collection last year with sneakers. So as you see, I'm rocking the Vegas here. I know Orlia brought some of her sneakers as well. So these were sold first with NFTs, with matching physicals, and now we're shipping them worldwide into our community around the world. We've also done varsity jackets as well, and we also have our own metaverse platform. So we're Colton Rain. I'll pass the mic on and keep the intros alive.
Hello, I'm Nicolas. I'm the founder of a small independent brand called Satoshi Studio that I co-founded in 2018. So we were using NFTs to enhance the transparency for users. So for the owners, what are the materials of the products, the suppliers, certifications. And last year, we started a project called Futures Factory, which is a platform helping designers and brands to launch their project, whether it's virtual-only sneakers or digital sneakers, what we call. And we want to also back the most promising designers to launch their projects, physical projects.
Hi, my name is Aurélie. I'm the co-founder of Shoes 53045. 53045 means shoes upside down on a calculator. And we are a next-gen sneaker brand. Initially, we started 3 years ago as a physical brand, using a lot like digital arts, but selling physical shoes. And we have been transitioning to Web3 since 1 year and a half. And we have been partnering with a company like Dematerialize, like Future Factory on our first drop. And as of today, we are doing like physical sneakers, phygital sneakers, and also digital only sneakers, and with utilities. And we have been learning a lot these past months, and the future is promising, so a lot of things are going to happen.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And I think that we could hop right into things. We're just building this world, literally. I mean, all of us kind of together in our own ways. NFT technology has only been around, not even 10 years. NFC technology, which is essentially these chips that we can put in physical things that does communication, helps authentication, relatively new, at least the advanced technology there too. So Aurelia, maybe you can start out by just telling us a little bit about what physical digital means for your business and your particular application, maybe a little bit about the model that you're deploying, what does the NFC mean, what does the physical mean, what's the cornerstone, and just a little bit about how you're implementing it particularly.
But for us, it's like because the first thing is to sell shoes, so it's to give the choice to consumers, to our communities, to buy digital only or phygital. But for the phygital, first you like shoes, you want to buy them.
Sure.
So I have this example. It's like our upcoming drop. So you will see here there is an indicator. And so you are going to order your shoes because you like them. And when you are going to receive them, like 3 months later, you are going to... it's going to be what we call like scan to own. You are going to take your phone and just to scan the shoes, and you can activate the shoes on the blockchain and to unlock like utilities like wearable, for example, but also like other things. You can even like months later send a message to your community and through Discord or Instagram and say, hey guys, we have like a surprise for you, scan your shoes and we can airdrop like something, a ticket for a concert or like, so the shoes itself become like a marketing tool.
Sure, so you'd say the cornerstone of your collection, it starts with the physical and then the NFT comes sort of from that physical shoe.
Yeah, when it's a physical shoes, yes.
Gotcha, cool. Nicholas?
So we don't use NFC chip, but we have brands like Aurelia that wants to start more from the physical, and brands like Collectables that will start from the digital and ship like the physical. And this is where it's hard to find a standard. So we discussed a lot about it these past days, but I don't think there is one perfect solution, and still like the beginning. So we have to test and try.
Yeah. Please, just go in reverse order.
Same question.
Mike, same question. Yeah, like how does, like, so, you know, for Colton Rain, how do you think about physical digital connectivity? Like, what does the NFT mean? What does the physical mean? Like, how do they interact? Like, what do you think the right model is for this world? Because we're literally creating it and we're experimenting and we're figuring things out together.
Big question, for sure. So, I mean, let me tell you a little bit of history of Colton Rain first. We basically funded the company through our Genesis NFT sale, promising to ship luxury physicals made at the most luxurious factories in Italy. Of course, we had the idea of dropping an NFC chip inside the shoe, tying it to the blockchain for authentication, ownership transferring, eventually merging the two elements into one so that the physical can actually become the NFT itself. That would be my ultimate dream. How we get there, there's still hurdles ahead of us. But what we realized at Colton Rain is that, because we're producing such luxurious physicals, there were limitations from the factories. They're third generational factories in Florence, for example. So to have them insert 4 to 5 steps of putting a chip inside it and having, the factories program the chips and insert it in was very difficult. It was already difficult enough for us to produce these sneakers at the highest level possible and ship them to 43 different countries around the world.
Quick question, what did make you chose, Italy's obviously known as a luxury and fashion, but what would make you choose Italy over China or somewhere else that you can probably get it done cheaper?
For us, for us it was, because I'm a fashion creative director, so I've been in fashion for 20 years.
Absolutely.
So I have I guess you'd say the connections with the factory and the supply chain in Italy. Second thing is minimums. Minimums in China are much higher, and bespoke, let's say, production in Italy, they're much more tailor-made and they're more flexible, actually. So you can produce minimum quantity orders across different styles and different colorways. So I guess back to your question, we will be implementing NFC chips into our physicals as phase 2, and we also know that digital wearables for our brand is also the future, because obviously margins are much higher, and we do believe that the next Generation Z and younger millennials are all shopping for digital wearables to flex on their avatars and travel between the different metaverse spaces. So that's kind of how we see the model.
Yeah. So the way we see it is we want to give people, consumers, both. We don't want people to have to pick and choose between a digital shoe and a physical shoe. So there are many popular projects that come out there, and essentially you burn the NFT to get the physical, and that can increase the value of the physical. And it's a great business model. But our product is geared towards the traditional consumer that's heard about Web3 but isn't in the space. And so by giving people the ability to buy a physical sneaker and then including an NFT with the various benefits and utility the NFT has, we are able to actually target not just the current Web3 audience, but go after almost everybody. In terms of for NFC, we haven't integrated NFC yet because we really want to have the interoperability if we include NFC for authentication and link it to an NFT when the resale occurs. And there currently isn't a solution on the market yet. And so once something like that comes out, unless something like that is created by the smart people on this panel, then then we can go out and integrate that into our sneakers. As for the NFT, a lot of what we want to do is integrate it as a wearable. And so currently you can, there's a digital version of the shoe in a server in GTA, in the OTF gaming server, which is Dirk's gaming company. And we want to be able to integrate into other popular games and enable you to actually play with the sneaker, whether that's Web 2 or Web 3. So it can cater towards the traditional audience and all of us in the Web 3 space.
Awesome. I wanted to go back to you on the production side. I remember you seem to have an opinion on the China versus Italy debate. Was it anything to add on there?
No, it was about China, in fact, because like a lot of people think China is like cheaper and it's just really unique like criteria. It's true there are of course like some difference, but also China is known like for outwear and sneakers as like one of the best countries, and they are like the technology is very important. For example, if you check our shoes, it's 2 different bubble sole, and this technology exists only in China. It's not possible to make them in Italy. So and for us, one important point was to do like a sneaker that is super comfortable. So David, the designer with my business partner, who is also the head of shoe design of Balenciaga, he spent like 2 years to engineer this bubble sole. And the comfort is really amazing and something even like addictive for people. And it's not possible to do it anywhere else. And it's very important. If you want the technology, something like more high-tech, China is the right place.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so in terms of production, and order quantity in Italy, it makes a lot more sense for lower quantity and it's easier to get done. The bigger issue with China right now is production delays. So in order to produce a shoe in China, the shipment delays can be months and months and months with all the import-export things that are currently going on. So that's what we've seen. Factories we've talked to, it's been delay, and so we wanted to avoid.
TLDR physical things are a pain in the ass.
Experience can be.
Let's just say that the Italian side isn't much faster.
Yeah.
for all my community that's going to tune in.
Quality takes time.
And watch YouTube,
Quality takes time.
We've definitely had to delay our deliveries due to supply chain issues as well across materials, et cetera. But I would say Italian side in Italy versus China at the end of the day, it just depends on your needs, but quality, delivery standards nowadays with globalization, pretty equal.
Yeah, we were very lucky because we didn't have any problem of supply chain in China. However, like the shipping part was more a problem of cost. And I think you also had this problem. Is
we should talk about that.
Since COVID, it's crazy.
So
it's like it's impacting like our margin as crazy, and people are so used to not pay like shipping.
Yeah, we should talk on this issue for a second because, again, addressing to the audience and to our community members, we sold 1,406 pairs in probably a matter of a few days. But we had customers across 43 different countries that purchased our NFTs. We had to fulfill 1,400 pairs out of Italy and ship it direct to consumer.
Duties, customs.
From Italy to 43 different countries in the world.
Yeah.
And when it comes to duties, logistics, planning, warehousing, import, it is full on. I mean, to be honest with you, it's been a nightmare.
As a technologist, a data technologist at that, and ones and zeros all day, I am terrified.
And very expensive.
Yeah.
Extremely expensive.
I'm happy to collect them, but I don't think I'm going to be producing them anytime soon. One thing I wanted to spend, really, did you want to?
No, we had the experience when we did this digital drop with Dematerialize. So I was looking at Adriana.
Oh, gotcha.
Because we did like the Recon ST drop. It was in October last year, and the delivery was 3 months later, and the price of the shipping was like, I think it was a double. And there were like also a lot of countries, and there are countries where the shipping costs more than the shoes, and you are like, okay.
It's absolutely a nightmare. Logistics are physical things, and logistics around physical things are absolutely a nightmare. But I mean, it's one thing I wanted to so I'm a collector. I'm not a creator of these things, and so what does it mean for me? Like, why do I care about all this? And I think that's something that like some of these panels don't really tie back all the time. So whenever I want to buy a pair of sneakers, like I have right now, I have the Fuocious Artifact sneakers on. If I wanted to sell these, I'd have to send them to an authentication service like StockX or something, which, by the way, Nike just sent a bunch of pairs through StockX and fakes, and they got them through, and they're not allowed to call things genuine anymore on StockX's side. So, I mean, giving the power of authentication to the user, to the individual, which opens up the door for a peer-to-peer trading market on these high-value things that literally doesn't exist today. So from a consumer standpoint, I'm super excited about this because I don't have to pay the $20, $30, $40 to StockX every time I want to flip a pair of shoes. So, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on authentication? I mean, anything around that topic?
We've had this conversation on our Zoom last week, right? And we started getting into some heated discussions about the future and where it's headed and how do we solve the problem. And in my opinion, once you put a chip inside the shoe, there needs to be a platform with an escrow service, and that's how you're going to keep the physical.
And take a step back really quick, and why don't we explain that and unpack it, because I don't think people understand an escrow service. So like, in other words, like when I want to like sell the sneakers, the physical part is important, right? You have to know that the physical part is real, and you have to know that it's in transit on its way to you, and that you're going to get that physical thing. But in that time, you need to have the other person on the other side prove that they have the funds, and have the funds in some sort of an escrow in order to hold them until that sneaker that they say is going to arrive.
Because if you sell the NFT, the person can just not ship the shoe, and you're stuck with the NFT, and then what?
Yep.
Right?
Well, they're actually, so if let's say like we thought through like this whole, because I think it's a great opportunity in terms of for sneakers. So if you have an NFC chip embedded into the shoe in a place that's kind of difficult for the average thief to go and take out, essentially, right? What happens is if then that person goes and sells it to someone else, you can then, if you have the NFT in a custodial platform, you can essentially invalidate it, just like what Tether did with with FTX. So you can revoke it, but then you have to honor the customer by giving them another shoe. So the only way you could really do it is like George said, an escrow service, which to my knowledge doesn't fully exist. And then you would have to
But there are people working on it.
Yeah.
There are people working on it.
You could even have like trusted third parties as well that you ship the shoe to that are part of your network, similar to StockX. But the process could be much faster because the whole authentication process doesn't need to happen. Looking at the materials, the styling, et cetera, because the chip's already there. So there's different levels. Consumer to another consumer for resale, or there's just consumer to a faster third party.
And then phygital marketplaces, right? That's what's going to happen next. There's going to be the open sea of phygital, so that they become the escrow service and perform the transaction. Yeah,
I wanted to spend some time to talk about Nicholas, because your model is a little bit slightly different in that you're enabling others to essentially build platforms, correct?
So we don't provide the technology to link the physical and the digital yet, and I don't really believe we should add an escrow or at least like a physical an entity that would play the intermediates. I really believe that technology should be able to create peer-to-peer network and trustless system.
Yep.
But right now we don't have like a perfect solution. So since we're focusing right now more on digital sneakers and designers, we haven't focused on this problem yet. But
there's also the problem of like if you're authenticating an NFC chip to a database, what database are you using? And so as a decentralized technologist, the only right answer for me is Ethereum or something like it. But that's also a discussion in that, like, if you have an authentication database that literally just sits in a private company like StockX, it's worth nothing. So in putting it on, enabling it on the blockchain, making sure that these applications and NFC chips can communicate directly with the blockchain, I think is quite important, and not have to rely on a third-party application. Actually, there's a company, I'll plug it, I'm an investor in this company, but ARX, is doing this, Kong, aka Kong, so look them up.
Yeah, but some chips, I think you can do like scan to own, so the NFT doesn't exist yet, to receive the physical content.
Yeah, you can. I mean, NFC technology. I mean, for all intents and purposes, can do similar activities to what a hardware wallet can do. I mean, really, it can call, as far as I understand, it can call functions. The more advanced chips that have been developed in the last couple of years, at least.
Yeah. For the market, we're looking to target like the average non-literate Web3 individual. If you have a bundled together, if you have an NFC chip that's linked to an NFT in your product, and then they go and resell it, unless it's super seamless and easy that it can be transferred with the shoe, it's not a viable solution for us to include in anything. So there, potentially for a Web3 product, it can happen much sooner, but it gets into question because it's not necessarily something that can be interoperable, which is what we all want with blockchain. It would have to be hosted on a custodial platform, and it only kept there unless the escrow service.
And at the end of the day, Colton Rain still makes badass sneakers. Okay, so technology aside,
right.
We're still a luxury fashion brand, and these sneakers are still, they'll have value to them. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's like a buy. It's like as long as that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
sneakers have to be cool.
At the end of the
They have to
day,
be
it comes down to the
comfortable. They have to
product.
be well made.
The technology will come. It's all coming.
Absolutely.
We know that. Even including the metaverse. That's all going to get built out proper. Digital wearables, avatars will have homes, to go to and flex their sneakers in the virtual world. That's all going to come. But for now, step by step. And I think that's one of the issues with Web3 is, people's expectations are like light years ahead. And if you're not like reaching a quarter of the mark, they're like, oh my God, you're not,
Yeah, I was
cutting
around for the
edge.
99
Yeah.
2000 internet run, but it's the
Exactly.
same
We're-
thing.
we're still at the dial-up
We've got
stage.
all these cool
Yeah.
primitives and tools that we're working with. They're trying to figure out how to connect them to value.
Exactly. But
And
they
we're
will-
gonna do it.
Yeah, they'll connect soon, for sure.
I think like overall, like a lot of what we all want to accomplish in this space really needs to be bundled behind a Web2 interface, but a Web3 product. People love Web2 interfaces. They're simple. You want to book an Airbnb, you just click it and book, right? It's not as simple as that for Web3 yet. And if we want to bring this stuff really to the masses and the general public and not just within the niche we have now, it has to be a Web2 experience powered by Web3 technology and hopefully in a non-custodial way.
And does anybody else have any points on this? I think, how are we on time? I just want to check. Is anybody here from the official? No? Okay. Let's keep going.
I
I want to
think
hear myself talk more.
I think the key to all of our success, everybody that's sitting here, is Web 2 adoption into Web 3. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah.
And for all of us to survive and weather the storm, right, that's here right now and to come, we have to onboard more Web 2 folks into Web 3. And by doing that, I think the reason why we're all assembled today is because we actually have physicals that come with this. So Web 2 folks can actually understand the product and our model better. For example, and I'm not shilling here, but tomorrow, we're launching our metaverse e-commerce shop, basically. So you can come into the Colton Rain metaverse called Culture World, and you'll be able to enter, pick your avatar, and purchase these physicals inside a virtual environment from A to Z, tied to blockchain, tied to Shopify as well. So that's something that's, quite cutting edge. And we're just positioning this and marketing this as like, it's really simple, guys. We're just saying you just come, it's a web-based link, you click 1, 2, 3, enter, and then you're in a virtual environment, and then you have these widgets that pop up when you go to the storefront, and it's very simple to purchase. And I think it has to start from baby steps and fundamentally ease of use right now.
I think at the end of the day, we want to sell amazing shoes, iconic shoes that people love, and to create like a seamless experience and create like amazing immersive experience with it that will make people like proud to own these shoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
show them.
Absolutely. No, and it's interesting. Shoes and fashion, sneakers seem to have been always kind of the cultural forefront of fashion. So they kind of lead the way for the rest of the group. Well, it's been a great conversation. I don't even think I introduced the fact that I'm the CEO of New Street, which is a company that does media and data technology for physical and digital collectibles. So we actually provide information, education. Like if you're a sneaker collector, how do you do it? From beginning to advanced. If you're a card collector, same thing, beginning to advance. We're essentially trying to educate people on how to do this right, how to spend your money on the things that have and retain value, and ultimately how to do it wisely. So check us out. It's NEUSTREET. Again, I'm DefianceWorks. Please follow all your illustrious panel members here. Thank you all for your time. Any final words before we wrap up, or are we good to go?
I think we're good.
We have time? Oh, awesome. Oh,
You want?
yeah, Q&A. Any Q's? All right, let's. I'll go out in the.
I have many questions. So as someone who studied shoe design and actually was interested in the blending of technology and design, I think one of the biggest things that potentially you have not touched on in the idea of linking a physical product to a digital one is sizing. And I'm very curious, as a first question, to understand how you all approach, or how you plan to approach, physical sizing in resale and linking the NFTs. Because essentially what that means is you will have a very limited option of reselling your shoes. And it puts a very interesting conundrum on resale.
And do you mean when you're selecting the size? Like, in other words, like if you have like 10,000 NFTs and you have an ability to select the size, or?
Approach it how you like, but.
I could start. I don't think it's super complicated of like a thing to do, because NFTs have metadata and you can store the sizing of the shoe in the metadata, and just like any traditional shoe, when you put it out there and you want to resell it, you're limited by what size it is anyways in terms of who you can approach. So as long as the metadata has that and it's properly linked up and resell, with an NFC chip is in place, if that's the way to go, then it just needs to be stored properly, and that's it.
It can be a bit expensive though, but this is a solution, sure.
Yeah.
Tough questions. I'm gonna take a pass on that.
This is a bit what I said before. Like you have the solution, but when you purchase an NFT and you mint it directly, it's hard to change. You can change the metadata, but it can be expensive if you're on layer 1. For me, it can be done afterward. Like you mint the NFT, you ask for the size.
I'll tell you guys what we did. Right, we minted our NFT collection, and then we had a trading period, and then we had a claim period for the sizes. And obviously, I've been asked this question a lot, right? The solution around that is you hold inventory, right? You hold stock of it, so that when you want
That's
to claim,
the problem.
when you want to claim the physical, you have the stock available. You can get to that stage as you scale up. Okay, that's an idea that we have as well. But again, my ultimate goal would be to transform the physical into the NFT itself. Yeah, and I think if you're able to do that, and that's something we can talk about offline, okay, then that's really the future. Yeah, merge it into one.
And no matter what, we're in an industry where you have like 5% of returns for sizing and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
5, 8 in medium. I think it's below for you.
Yeah, no. Yeah, in the real world, it's like the average is 37%, but on our side, selling only physical shoes, we have a return rate of 3%, and the solution we define is super basic. It's like in every shoebox, there is an extra pair of insole that is thicker than the one inside, and you just swap to adjust the size.
That's genius. I never thought about that.
And I think we probably have the best return rate of the universe, honestly, because usually it's like 37% for footwear.
Well, thank you guys, first of all, for the time. I own a collectibles shop in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, so I was just kind of curious of your guys' pulse of how you guys see the physical and the NFT collectibles kind of clashing in that world, and I guess the IRL type things.
I can take that. So actually, yeah, I'm a collector of many, many different things, and I think that the same concepts that we're deploying here in NFC technology, because you're looking at $3 to $5 per chip. So technically, anything that can absorb a $3 to $5 per chip cost can have this technology. So you can put it in like a PSA slab or something like that. I think that when it comes to things like jewelry, they're a little bit too small. I don't know if anybody has any opinions about that, but I think what we're talking about here, that sneakers is kind of leading the way on, is absolutely going to be, I mean, you're talking about physical art that can be chipped with the NFC that's just a COA. I mean, literally just a COA. It doesn't have to be art itself. So really we're talking about authentication, and the reason why we're talking about it in the context of sneakers is probably because sneakers has one of the most developed secondary markets, but it's absolutely just a forerunner to the rest of the world. Anybody have anything to add on that?
Yeah, so Spotty Wi-Fi just released a record, and that record itself, inside of it, has an NFC chip. And so as long as that's hosted on a custodial platform, it can be transferred to anyone, and then when they purchase it, if there's simple instructions on the record always of how to claim it, or something to that nature, or the store owner could, yourself could help with that, then you shouldn't run into any issues.
Another question here.
Hello, a great panel, guys. Love what you guys and ladies had to say. With respect to NFC chips, have you guys looked into how long they will last? Because there are people that buy sneakers. I'm old enough to remember the very first Jordans and things like this, and some people still have them. Some people still have the old, Patrick Ewings or whatever. You know what I'm saying, from 1990 or whatever. How long do you guys think the NFC chips may last and remain, able to transmit? Because obviously it's not something that, you can dig out and recharge, or, what I'm saying? It's what it is, right? It's embedded, especially when it's sneakers. It's going to be probably in the sole somewhere, because you don't want people to be able to get it out and mess with it, or, so on and so forth. So how long do you guys think the chips could last and be able to transmit?
It's a great question.
Know?
I actually thought about that too, and I've been trying to spin my head around that with my team. We actually started already researching, and we're going to put the chip in next, right? But we started studying what's going to happen in the far future is it's going to be woven into the fabric. That's what's going to happen. So all of, let's say, expensive luxury items, clothing-wise, it will be part of the fabrication, and it will just activate as if the wires and the constructions will be woven in. So it will still be, and I'm sure Orlia, you've probably studied this as well. But I think on the chip side, I've been told, I don't know, 10 years, something like that.
Yes, it's what I heard too,
right?
but we will know in the next few years. But on our side, our factory already had experience with a few brands, for that brands that was already fighting against counterfeit, and the choice was to do it in the tongue, but lower, and because you don't move too much this part. So they have done a lot of tests. So we will see. In fact, I think the future is going to tell us.
Yeah, just to add, so with common RFID chips, so when those are activated when they're on store products and to prevent you from stealing, those can be recharged whenever they interact with something. So there could be something there with NFC where you have an RFID chip that's recharged, that recharges it, and you could have longer life as long as it's activated potentially by some electricity source a phone. So there are workarounds.
As far as I understand, the NFC chips actually rely on outside power source, right? So they don't actually have their own storage of power. They rely on the thing that's asking it for power, or thing that's asking it for the communication. I don't know a ton about it, but I think it does have some electronics failure potential, but not as much as something that has its own power storage.
Hi, I just wanted to get your thoughts on moving forward, sustainability, and if you have any concepts or approach to recycling, for instance, if someone actually wants to wear it, these beautiful Feiwos, you're wearing them down over time, it would be nice to be able to send them back in, maybe get them recycled, and then, or if you pick up the wrong size on the secondary, have them recycled, but still stay tied to the digital version.
If you can give him one quick answer.
One answer, and then we'll cut it off. Thank you for the question.
About sustainability, right?
Okay, so to answer your question on that, we launched Colton Rain actually with sustainability in mind, because our shoes in the very beginning were made to order. So we basically eliminated stock, right? So it's you're purchasing an NFT, and then we're producing the shoe and we're shipping the shoe afterwards. Now, what's going to happen in the future if you want to make returns and things like that, right? of course, there are programs that we can develop and create where, you know, we can take stock back and, you know, produce other products with it, et cetera, and just obviously try to keep it as sustainable as possible, you know?
Yeah, the pre-order model, I think, is a solution, but also I think it's the same for you. It's like we make shoes that last, and I think it's the first thing in sustainability, because there are so many products you buy that don't last, and it's waste. So this is very important, and after it's also to choose like materials that are like sustainable or recyclable and all these things, and also it can be also like the carbon footprint, for example, or like fulfillment center is close to our factory and we don't ship like everywhere. So it's super important. Also, when you make shoes, there is always waste and defect. What do you do? What all brands do with these defective shoes? And most of the time they destroy them, what is not cool. On our side, we do donation to charities, it's very important. So there are so many things about sustainability we have to think about.
Just real quick, there's a company out in California called Redwood, and it's founded by one of the people behind the battery department in Tesla, JB Straubel. It's really focused on isolating the materials that are needed that are really valuable in batteries for recycling. And I think an approach like that can be applied to sneakers. Making it sustainable from the beginning is great, but also in the recycling aspect to really filter out what's needed and really have an efficient process.
Yeah, thanks guys so much for your time. I'm positive you look back at this group in the next 5 years and we're changing things in fashion. So thank you so much, and yeah.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everyone.